We'd usually decide to retouch a painting if during the course of the conservation treatment we'd found that there were a number of damages or losses to the original on the surface. Now this isn't uncommon, it can often be the case these were hidden by previous restorations. Now once we've removed what we want to get to as much of the original as we can, we would then think of a way of trying to make sure the image could be reintegrated and so it would be readable as a painting image. And we'd often do this by addressing those small, tiny losses, whatever they may be, by in-painting with pigments dispersed in a modern synthetic varnish medium to exactly colour match the areas around them, so that when the painting goes back on display, these damages are not visible. When we're retouching, we're using usually dry pigments, not always, but usually dry pigments, which are then just dispersed in a varnish medium. Now, the number of pigments and type of pigments we use can vary quite a lot, from usually a relatively small number, perhaps 5 or 6, to a range of up to say 15 or so. And these are colours that usually are modern matches for the original pigments that we used in historic paintings. Some of them are chemically the same these days, many are not, because many of the original pigments are actually quite poisonous or dangerous to make. Now obviously we would now use a synthetic alternative, but one which has exactly the same colour properties. There are some that are extremely difficult to match. There is a form of lead white pigment that was used in the Low Countries and Holland in the 17th century that is extremely gritty and has very, very large lumps of lead white in it. That's almost impossible to reproduce with modern pigments, and sometimes that has to be done in a different way. We would generally decide to retouch a painting where we want to make sure that the image can be reintegrated to look as the artist intended, because often damages can be so distracting to the image that it will be quite meaningless to have them on display with the damages still visible. Here in the UK, the general method is to match the texture and colour of the original paint as far as possible, so that this isn't easily distinguishable from the original. And the reason for that is to make sure the readability of the image is as good as it can possibly be, and that we're staying as true as we can to the artist's original intention.